Hey everyone, welcome to our new episode of Sass and the Beard. We are hanging out here in this awesome space downtown in Russellville. We're going to be transitioning to new spaces here over the next couple of weeks, but we wanted to really have a show for you guys at the beginning of the year. There's lots of cool things going on in our area.
Lots
Kristen,
of political happening.
yeah, how was your break?
Man, it was so good. It was so good. Legislative session starts on Monday, and I'm wildly unprepared for that. But yeah, it was great. I had a really great holiday. Got to spend a lot of time with my family, my kids. How about you? How was it?
It was good, very much the same. I mean, not with session or anything like that, but I got to hang out with my family, got to spend a lot of time, um, at work and at home. This season for me, work-wise, is huge. So
Yeah.
that was really the biggest thing. I got to see my kids get Christmas presents and spend time with family. That was a lot of fun. So yeah.
Awesome.
And I had a fun
Awesome.
New Year.
And you got sworn into office.
Oh, we did do that. Yes, on
Yes.
January the 1st.
That was exciting.
Along with our friend Emily Young, who's here with us tonight, doing all of the. She's Mixmaster Emily here,
Yes, our producer, magic person.
Yes, because it is clearly magic. All of the technological things that we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. We're going to have a lot more.
Right.
Fun, cool
joining
stuff.
the offbeat times,
yes.
Which is very exciting.
We're on a new night. It's Wednesday and not Tuesday.
Because there are city council meetings on Tuesday nights, and you will be busy with those.
Several, actually, based on... So one of the cool things that we did, just to kind of give city council updates, one of my favorite TikTokers is
Me?
Well, obviously.
I'm sorry. I thought that's where we were going.
But another one of my favorite TikTokers is a man who was recently sworn into federal office, and he does TikToks every once in a while about this is what we did today, and this is how this is all new experience, and so I kind of would like to do that tonight here, just for like nerd out political processes, And one of the things that we did, we met last night to select committee and liaison appointments. And so if you've ever done like a fantasy football draft, it was very similar to that. If you hadn't done a fantasy football draft, imagine pulling a number out of a hat and you get to choose in that number order. So I got the last number. So I was the last one to pick.
So is that like when you do Dirty Santa and the last one gets to go again at the beginning and steal?
No, that's called a snake draft.
Oh.
That's not the same.
No. I don't know anything about
it's okay.
The sports ball.
Yeah, no, but this was basically the city has 20 some odd departments, and we as council members choose which department we want to be a liaison for, because obviously the group as a whole cannot be at every meeting of every committee, and otherwise why would we have those committees if the city council was at every one of those meetings? But we should take interest in those meetings and be the public representation in those meetings. So we each chose, all 8 of us, 3 liaison appointments through city departments, and then we were given committee appointments based on finance and personnel. And I was put on the personnel committee. I chose the cemetery, like the city manages the Oakland Cemetery. I chose the planning and development,
which is very important.
Yeah, like the city codes and things like that. And the Lattimore, Friends of the Lattimore Tourist Home, which was, several people that are on that committee asked me to seek that appointment, and I'm close with a lot of those people, and I really want to see that project succeed. So,
well, I think it's great to talk about this a little bit because folks often don't know that, once they elect someone to office, how many different areas that those people have influence.
And we're back. Sorry, guys.
And we're back.
It's my fault, totally. You know how I am with technology. It's just me being in the room, just like
it's true.
Freaked out Emily's computer and was like, ah. So
just all of
yes,
it. Yeah.
As you were saying, Kristin, it is very important that we have this representation from like you people voted for us, and not every citizen takes everyday interest in the animal control, but we all have animals, and if our dog gets loose, how does the animal control handle that situation? If our neighbor's dog is attacking our dog, how does animal control handle that?
And it goes from animal control to the Russellville Police Department,
Yes.
to the fire department, to I mean, Hickey Pool was a big issue that's been decided recently, with Parks and Recreation and then the City Council. So these are all important issues that get decided by local elected officials, and a lot of folks don't realize that. Like we think about politics being this like national issue. It's the stuff that's happening at the federal level,
right?
But so often it's this stuff that's happening right here locally in our backyards, that we can have influence over as individuals, or if you run for office, you can have even more input on that, and represent your community in those various areas.
Well, and one of the things that we discussed at the meeting last night were kind of the rules of how the city council operates and how this council is going to operate. So that may be, are we going to seek reports from specific department heads on a regular basis? Are we going to allow public comment to a certain, like how long is the public comment going to be? Is there, are there going to be rules on how many? So like before, each personnel and finance committee, it wasn't so much about each specific ward, it was about seniority. Well, if Ward 4's council members had been there the longest, then both of them could choose to be on the finance committee, and a whole other ward, there's only 4 spots, would not be represented. And so we made a rule that said each ward has to be represented in each committee.
That's great.
And so I thought that in personnel and finance, because it doesn't matter, like everybody can go to the meetings, like I can go to the finance committee meetings. I'm just not a voting member of the finance. And so, but I can talk, I can speak, I can have, and then there was one that was more of a, in my opinion, something that was more micromanaging when it comes to our departments. Like we are elected to review the city's business, but also our city has hired people to do jobs. And if we don't respect those people enough to do their job, so much so that we want to micromanage them, then like we shouldn't have them working for it. Like there's a reason that they work for us, because they're good at that job.
Right.
So
totally.
There was some discussion about that too.
Well, I think that's great. I think it's great to share the information, and folks can keep up with all of this. We have a next city council meeting coming up. When?
It's a good question. I have it right here.
January 19th coming up, and hopefully I will get to see on that agenda an entertainment district. I'm just saying. I would really love to see an entertainment district on that agenda, because I need an entertainment district.
Now, on the 10th is the agenda prep meeting, which is Tuesday the 10th?
Yep.
Yeah.
And for folks that don't know, agenda prep is like where a lot of the discussion happens that doesn't necessarily happen in the city council meeting. Like a lot of times they'll come in and just vote on issues because they've already discussed them in the agenda prep session. The city's made some strides to make those meetings more available online, to stream them. Initially a few years ago they were not. I think me and Nathan basically guilted them into that over the years, by making fun of them for having meetings in 1984. And so so now those agenda prep sessions are available online for you to watch via live stream on the city's YouTube and Facebook page.
Jimmy, we are going to talk about the casino in just a little bit.
Yes, I have so much information on the casino for y'all.
We put that at the end so that you'll watch the whole thing.
You have to have your I like to say that you have to have your vegetables first.
Yeah.
Right. And then we'll get to the meat later, and the dessert. All the good stuff is later.
So let's transition from city government and talk about Judge Bourne,
which is also city government, but yes.
Yeah. Well, the district.
The district court is city court,
Mhm.
basically,
Yeah.
for misdemeanors, traffic violations, things like that.
Yeah.
So we saw this week where Judge Don Bourne, he's been in office for a long time. Most folks have landed in front of him at some point.
A lot of us, yeah.
For a ticket or whatever. I mean, I've been in front of him.
Yeah.
And have experienced his unique approach to judicial management or courtroom decorum, I guess.
Yeah.
And so we saw earlier this year where Judge Bourne came under some scrutiny for failing to appoint public defenders for folks, and also for just some of his antics in the courtroom, the way he spoke to people, things like that. Just this week, we heard that there were more complaints filed with judicial discipline, and in response, Judge Bourne submitted his letter of resignation stating that he will retire from office at the end of this week. Previously, he had been set to complete his term and not run again. That was part of the decision by judicial discipline, that he was not eligible to run for office again, but that he could complete his term. Now, under these new allegations, he just chose to resign and halt any investigation into the new allegations. And so most likely what we'll see is a special election coming up to deal with that situation, to elect a new district judge into that position. Because I believe his term he still had enough time on his term that it would have to go to an election, I believe.
There's no way they can just appoint someone.
I don't think they can appoint someone. Now, I could be wrong on that. I haven't double checked that, but based on most other positions, if you resign at this point in a term, it would go to a special election. Judicial races sometimes are a little different, though.
Right. Well, in the meantime, once he leaves office, they'll either suspend some of his cases, or some people will have to take over. Some of the other district court judges will have to, take, and they all have
they'll
to
appoint
do.
someone to fill the role in a temporary capacity if necessary.
Yeah.
But I think this is really important because one of the things we know about this is that Judge Bourne was over setting bond and appointing public defenders not only for misdemeanor situations and traffic issues, but also for felony charges. And so, there were often times that people would be charged with a felony, be denied a public defender, and then sit in court for several months until they went to circuit court, where felony decisions are handled. Those are not handled in the district court. And so it'd go to circuit court, and then the circuit judge would appoint a public defender. And so people were sitting in jail for months without representation, often, losing their jobs, losing their homes, situations like that. And so I think it's going to be really interesting to watch this play out and how it impacts folks in our community who have been, going through some of those situations.
Yeah. And I want to respect the office and respect, the person. But I do think that this is a good thing to see. Obviously,
I think it's time.
He was not happy with his job, So.
Yeah, he seemed very burnt out, based on just the experience.
Yeah,
and it's not that I know that, but just my experience.
Well, I know that there were some, not just that he couldn't run for office, but there were some things he was supposed to do, like rules he was supposed to abide by, while doing
recording
the work under
devices
that,
in his
and
office.
some of the he was just not even willing to do. It was basically just like business as usual.
Yeah.
But
we're not doing that anymore.
No,
we're not doing business as usual in Russellville, Arkansas.
It's 2023, and every aspect of our lives, admittedly by our own decisions, is online or recorded or videoed or whatever. And that's just the world we live in. We want to see what's going on. We want to know what's going on, and that's why we started this. I mean,
absolutely.
that's where our roots go, from an iPhone in a back room talking about politics, and now we have all of these things.
Yeah, somebody actually, there's a lot of drama happening in the Conway School District and Conway School Board about they're going through all this culture war kind of stuff in Conway School District, and one of my colleagues asked me, like, well, what did you guys do to start what you're doing? And I was like, literally, we set an iPhone on a table and we just started talking. We just did it, and we had no idea what we were doing. Sometimes we just read the agenda for the meetings. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, we started very simple. It wasn't high class or like fancy. It was just us.
Well, you had talked about your TikTok, and you had posted a video recently about all of the new candidates coming into city council, and
I'm basically a TikTok star now.
Yeah, and but what I appreciated was there were questions like that. Well, how did you guys achieve this? And I mean, it wasn't just us talking about politics. It was people listening and saying, you know what, I can do that. I can people like Emily saying, I can represent my community. But it started with just the willingness of people to get involved.
And helping folks know how to get involved and how to plug in. And I think we're going to continue to see more of that. I love this new council that's young and on fire. Like, I think it's so great. We are going to see some rapid developing information around the casino that you guys will probably be dealing with on council soon.
Let's hope so.
Been a crazy casino week. Are we ready to jump into that?
Let's jump into it.
More? Okay.
So those of you who are ready for the casino, share the video.
Here it is.
Here's all the tea about the casino.
Okay. So there's really two stories.
Sigh.
Sigh. The casino. No. Okay. So there's really two stories here to tell. And so I have two
there's
different,
some drama.
Yes.
And then there's some legalese.
Some here's what's happening.
Logistics.
Here's what's happening, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So the drama. Let's start with the drama. Okay. So you should know that if people file ethics complaints in Arkansas, and sometimes they file them specifically to make a political move, right? Like, they'll file an ethics complaint against a candidate, and then they'll release it to the media to say, look
this
how
guy's bad.
Yeah, we've all seen this in Russellville. We've seen this around secret meetings and things like that. This is not an uncommon move.
Yeah.
However, if you file a complaint with judicial discipline, if you file an ethics complaint against a judge, it is not public. It is not, and you are not, as the filer, allowed to make it public. Only the person who has been accused of an ethics violation can make that information public. Okay? That's very important here. So, we've all seen these casino issues lingering, dragging out, right, for years now in Pope County. Really, one of the last issues up for debate is in Judge Tim Fox's courtroom, and it has sat for months. And we had heard noise that maybe that Legends Casino would take some action to push to get a decision.
Like, say, hey, let's get on the ball. Yeah.
Right. But they didn't end up having to do that.
Right. They didn't have to do that.
They did not have to do that. There was a court date announced for January 3rd, for yesterday. This was, been quite a while back. The attorneys, all the attorneys involved, acknowledged that the hearing was coming up. But then one of the attorneys for Legends Casino, in his personal capacity, not Legends, but this attorney representing them in his personal capacity, made the very interesting decision to file an ethics complaint against the judge about not scheduling a hearing after he scheduled a hearing. Right?
Yeah, so just like the thing that they wanted
happened,
was going to happen, and then he was like, well, this is bad that he didn't let it happen until now.
Well, Basically.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a copy of the actual complaint because, like I said, this is not something that's public. It's not public. You know, judicial issues are handled very differently in Arkansas than regular, like, political issues. And they should be. I mean, it's the courts. It's not supposed to be a political entity. But anyway, so fast forward.
It's basically like it was too late, bro. Like,
right. But also to keep in mind that means that this, when he filed it, is just between the attorney and the judge and the Judicial Discipline Committee. It's not public to everyone else around. You know, it's not public to the other attorneys, to Cherokee, anything. So they come into court yesterday, and Choctaw Casino, who we know financed the ballot initiative attempt to remove Pope County that was ultimately unsuccessful, they had filed a motion to intervene in this case, to say that they are a party to this case who is, you know, being financially harmed by the decisions of the Arkansas Racing Commission. Basically saying that the Arkansas Racing Commission issued a license outside of their authority is the argument of the case. And so Choctaws filed a motion to intervene. Well, Judge Fox says, we're going to put a pin in that, basically, this motion to intervene. We're going to wait on that. And before we do that, we're going to talk about this other situation. And he launches into 20 minutes of prepared comments about how unethical it was for this individual attorney to file a ethics complaint in this fashion after it was already settled. You know, there's already been a date set. And he said basically this constitutes an ex parte communication, which means that it's a communication outside of the normal process. Like normally anything that's being filed in a case, in a court case, is, you know, all the attorneys have access to it. Like there's no surprises, right? Both sides get access to filings. But because of how this was filed, the judge said, well, you know, this really seems like you're trying to influence my opinion separate from...
By putting this pressure.
Right, by putting this pressure privately. No, I can't say whether that's true or not.
Right.
You know, I have no idea whether that's
true. But it was offensive
that was the
to
way,
the judge.
Yes.
And then he took offense and spoke out his offense in a tirade.
Very, very forcefully spoke out his offense on this. And so basically what he ended up saying yesterday was, we're going to postpone this. We're going to hold. This attorney is going to provide a copy of the ethics complaint to every party because the judge who was the you know, accused has the authority to release that information because he's the accused party. And so he did that. He said, I am saying this is now available, should be available to these attorneys. And he directed that attorney to release it by noon yesterday. And then he told the attorneys for the state and the attorneys for Gulfside that if they, upon reviewing that, would like to ask him to recuse himself from the case, that he would take care of that. He would do that. They needed to do it by 4:00 yesterday. They both entered statements saying that they were not asking him to recuse.
No, we're good.
Nope, we're solid.
Yeah. Especially since now you're more inclined to be on our side because you're mad at her. And
so at 4:00, by 4:00 that was entered, and at 5:00 he said that yes, yes, Choctaw is a party now to this complaint, but only in the sense that they may have better standing with the court rather than, but not as a move to delay the process, right? Like they're making the same arguments as the other parties. And then he said, we'll reconvene at 9:00 tomorrow morning. And so they came back today at 9:00 in the morning, and he said he would hear oral arguments, and then he would
for the dismissal
of the case.
Okay. To go back to the original reason that we
the original motion that was there. He would hear oral arguments and rule expeditiously, which could likely means by the end of the week.
Sometime soon.
Very soon. Likely by the end of the week. So it was kind of a wild little minute.
Antonia, I feel your comment so much. She says, blah, 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 blah. Just let us know when the casino is here so maybe one of us can hit it rich. I feel you.
Okay, so let me tell you. So let me tell you what happens here. This is the crazy part, and I know this is like long and in the weeds, but I love this stuff. Okay, so I'm sorry, you guys. You just have to deal with me here for a minute. The thing that's crazy about this case is that basically one side is arguing that the Arkansas constitutional amendment that authorized gaming said that the casino operator must have experience in gaming, right? Which Cherokee Nation business does.
Right.
However, the Arkansas Racing Commission said that it must be an Arkansas LLC.
Which Cherokee Nation business is not.
It's not. But so they filed an LLC for Legends Resort, right?
Which puts those two together.
Right. So that puts the Constitution and the Racing Commission rules somewhat in conflict.
Right, because how could you have experience as an Arkansas LLC in gaming?
Exactly.
Unless you were Oaklawn.
Right, it's not possible.
Yeah, like that's the only one.
It's not possible, right. So this is really complicated, and I know it kind of goes in circles, but it's wild because basically how this works out is that if the court were to rule and say, no, Legends is not a qualified applicant, what that would do was say that there have been no qualified applicants.
Right.
And so it would set us right
Not
back.
even Saracen.
Nobody. Yeah, Saracen as well, because they're under the same form of LLC as Legends.
As Legends, yeah.
And Arkansas has established precedent that says that members of a corporation make up the corporation, right? And so like that if Cherokee is a member of the corporation and they have casino gaming experience, and they bring that experience to the LLC. There's a lot of established precedent here, but basically in worst case scenario, that this gets, the court says no, Legends is not qualified, and then it automatically goes to a de novo review, an automatic review by the state Supreme Court of all of the facts in the case. And if they also said no, Legends is not qualified. If that were to happen, I don't think it's going to, but if it were to happen, the whole thing basically resets because there was then no qualified applicant.
And it goes back to the Racing Commission?
Nope. It goes back to Judge Cross.
And he gets to write the letter.
He just writes another freaking letter.
God.
And it starts all over. It's crazy. I don't think that's what's going to happen. What I think is going to happen, and I've said this many times, you guys, I've been saying this for years that this is what's going to happen, is ultimately the judge is going to say this was an administrative decision by the Racing Commission, and appeals of that decision can only be handled by the Racing Commission. It is not within the court's jurisdiction to overturn an administrative decision. That's what I think we're going to see happen here. I think that the court's going to say, and folks, like, we see this stuff with Judge Fox and the attorney and the drama and stuff, but ultimately most judges, and I believe this of Judge Fox, is that they're gonna make decisions based on the law. Right. It's not gonna be about the personal drama back and forth here, even though that's frustrating and irritating.
Yeah.
Judges
like that's the pissing contest happened yesterday because it made him mad, but that doesn't have anything to do with the decision.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But ultimately it's just sort of another step in this ongoing argument.
Here's my major frustration in this whole situation, aside from the fact that we don't have a casino. Everyone judicially and legally involved knew from 2019 that the end result would end up back at Judge Cross writing another letter. And yet we're still... why would we go through all the things we've gone through if that was the end result? I understand there were certain things that within the like we had to decide what the Constitution meant when it said, what is the definition of thee? We had to decide those things. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, we knew we were all getting back to here. Mm-hmm. Once Cherokee was made the decision by the Racing Commission, once all of that, the Gulf side versus Cherokee was decided, so maybe 2021, late 2020. So it's been at least a couple of years that we could have had this decision made by now.
I would disagree. The only thing I disagree in that is that that we all knew it would go back to Judge Cross because even then, ultimately, the final say on this is going to be the Arkansas Supreme Court, even if it goes back to Judge Cross. Really, the final say on an issue like this comes down to the Arkansas Supreme Court, which is an elected body.
Yeah.
And will have a lot of influence on that. I believe because Saracen is also set up as a very similar LLC.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see it actually go that far.
And they never even had any trouble. It was just like boom, boom, boom.
Right. I don't think we're going to see it go so far as to actually go back to a letter from Judge Cross. But if you played it all the way through, worst case.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, if they could foresee, like we here today can foresee the structure of our judicial system is if it goes worst case, then it's back to Judge Cross to write another letter to whoever or not. If we can see that, and we are not, now you more than I, we are not the greatest legal minds of Arkansas, you know.
Bitch. I'm just kidding.
That's why I said you more than I.
I'm just kidding. I'm not. No, but I do know some of the greatest legal minds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And I would say that, but you know, that's part of what I love about politics is it's never.
Part of it feels like the game to me.
I love the game, and I know not everybody does. I know for a lot of folks the game is off-putting and terrible, but for me, I'm like, you know, this is what I love about it.
Right, but we're talking, okay, it's not a game. We're talking as much as $2 million of income a year from that could go to things that are really needed in our community.
Oh yeah.
So it's messing with people's
and
lives.
Jobs. I mean,
jobs. Yeah, absolutely.
Tons,
we're talking about, you know, a couple hundred jobs. We're talking and that's just the casino, but the extension of, you know, Buc-ee's coming to town, other entertainment venues coming to town. Like there's a ton of stuff.
If Buc-ee's coming to town, I'm never using another bathroom.
They're coming.
They're clean.
They're coming.
Man, they keep it clean.
We are that, like, these are all things that are hinging upon this decision, and we're stuck because some people got pissed off.
It does not surprise me to see casinos fighting this out, right? Like, because they're all trying to make money.
I agree.
They don't give a shit.
Like Choctaw's got a lot of money. Cherokee's got a lot of money.
They're all looking to
they
make money,
fight
right?
It over. Yeah.
Like, you know, it's a little different in the cases where it's Jim Knight or the Citizens for Better Polk County, who, you know, have had their own legal battles. But like in this one, I mean, I get it. You know, if I was Choctaw or I was Gulfside, I would be doing the same thing.
Kristin, you know, if it was just Choctaw and Cherokee fighting back and forth, this would have already been solved.
Do you think so?
Very much so. Because there would have been somebody be like, hey, if you'll just stop, here's $100 million, you know, like, but at this point, or however much, I don't know how much it would be, but I do believe that at some point, you know, the leaders of each of those corporations would have been like, hey, you know, how can we make a deal? Because they can do that.
Yeah.
But because there were people, citizens invested in the community and were frustrated, which I'm not saying they don't have a right to be frustrated,
right.
But because there was so much money involved, I don't really feel like a lot of them were that frustrated that there was a casino coming, and were more frustrated that they didn't get to sell the property to the casino. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
oh no, I know what you're saying.
Like, at what level was their frustration not being realized? I'm the Sass tonight, in case you're all wondering.
Which I love. I'm here for it. I'm like, I'm just going to sit back and be like, yes, Nathan, please continue.
So like, I've been pro casino from the jump because of the opportunities that it could afford our citizens, our government, jobs, those kind of things. And yet we're still here 4 years later, almost 5 years later, with no casino.
It's true.
And someone made a comment in our conversation.
The beard is getting angry. I like it.
Those people who have been in opposition should have to pay money for all the money that's been lost. And I have trouble not agreeing with them, you know?
John Thomas said, which one is the Sass and which one is the beard?
Yeah.
It's definitely Nathan. Nathan is both tonight. He's both. I'm glad glad you all could witness that because I'm just here.
So anyway, that was my rant. Judge Fox got to rant. There was my rant.
Yours was shorter.
Yes. Yeah.
And probably nicer.
Well,
honestly,
but definitely less educated. So
well, and less angry. I think there was less anger.
So that is that when it comes to the casino. Sorry, we're not going to have one tomorrow.
Or probably anytime.
Sorry
this
if you
year.
thought that that's what we were going to announce. Like if you did, I really apologize. You should follow other. It's been out for a while that what had happened today.
It's going to be a minute.
So yeah,
it's going to be a minute, but we'll let you know when there's a ruling on the case. We'll definitely let folks know about it.
I will say I'm excited for the future of our city. Mm-hmm. Yes, entertainment district is something that's going to be on an agenda at some point.
In January
to get done. We want to get it done. I want to get it done. I don't know. I say we.
I need to see that. I need to see it rapidly on an agenda because it'll take a few months to pass.
Yes, because you have to go through
the whole readings, and we don't want to. I don't want to see y'all speed it up and not do it right. Like I want to see you do it the right way, but also, I tried to get a drink to go tonight.
You can't get a drink to go.
I know, but if we had an
I don't know that you could even with the entertainment district.
Please,
like,
is
there an event downtown that where
does there have to be?
I don't know. Like,
we get to write the rules.
We do get to write the rules.
So write those.
But maybe I don't want you to just be able to walk out. But
you know what? Maybe
any random Tuesday.
Maybe recording Sass and the Beard is an event.
Can they make us an official?
Can we be a downtown public event? I think we can be.
Hey, if you guys want to come to the taping of the show, I see recording of the show. That just shows you what generation I am. Come on.
Oh,
a live show. That would be fun.
That would be.
We would have to have alcohol for that, I'm sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So legislative session starts next week.
Yes. Which you're definitely going to need to be drinking.
I'm definitely going to need to be drinking. It's going to be awful.
They're going to do away with education. They're going to privatize all the prisons.
They're going to build more prisons.
Yeah.
They're going to get all of us to pay for rich people to send their kids to private school.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. Yeah. I can't wait.
Yeah. Okay, but we can't talk about anything other than that because
Nathan wants to talk about national politics, and I said absolutely not. We cannot talk about what's happening in the House of Representatives today.
It's fun to watch, though. You should get on TikTok.
I will never enjoy national politics less than I did today. I had a great time today.
Yes, it was fun to watch today. Mm-hmm. But it's still sad, also, because there are people that are sad.
There are people that are sad. That's true. That's very true. There are people, Kevin McCarthy, who are very sad.
You said we couldn't talk about it. Okay, so we will update the legislative session as it is ongoing. We will keep you updated with city updates. We might even have some other city council members on the show from time to time. And then the quorum court will be rearing up pretty soon too, locally.
They're doing their thing.
All
kinds of things happening.
Without casino stuff, the quorum court's basically just like pave the road.
Right? Just do the budget stuff. Yeah. The normal stuff, which is great.
Nobody cared about the quorum court stuff until the casino.
We have a library that they manage. Like, thank God for that. You know what I mean? Some counties are voting to defund their libraries, which is horrific. But yes, all of it going on. Legislative session coming up. There've already been 70 bills filed so far. There will be like well over 2,000 filed,
500 more
between now and the end of the chaos cycle. One of the ones that was filed today would prevent cities from requiring their firefighters to live within the area or what. I mean, just there's so much stuff. I mean,
remote firefighters. Can you work from home as a firefighter?
That's the only way I would want to be a firefighter.
Only if your home was also on fire.
I don't want to go into a fire. So if there's a way to be, it's hot in there. I don't want to do that.
How does one read 2,500 bills in a 3-month time period enough to be able to vote on them?
Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So, committees are tasked with going through kind of the more detailed aspects of each item.
Right.
And then when they go to the floor for a vote by the full body, 35 senators, or on the House side, there's 100 state reps, they really rely on the sponsor and the committee members to give them accurate information. They don't read every bill. They don't have staff. They don't have somebody who's doing that for them.
Mm-hmm.
So they really do rely on public input and
Someone
input
to say,
from
this is
committee
thumbs
members,
up or thumbs down.
and obviously just a massive number of lobbyists.
That's where I was going.
You tell them
the whole money in politics.
what to vote on. Yes.
You know, when you talk to people on the street, it doesn't really matter left or right. They're like,
everybody hates
we
lobbyists.
should get money out of politics.
Yeah.
And yet, there are so many lobbyists.
Well, you know who would have to take action to get money out of politics?
Politicians.
Yeah, that's why it's not going to happen. Same reason why the Arkansas Freedom of Information Act is amazing, right up until you get to state government.
And they're like, no.
Because they're the ones who get to write the rules. They said, except for
for
our
us.
stuff.
Yeah, except for us.
We don't want you to look
You don't
at
need
our
to know
stuff.
what we're talking about.
It's exempt.
Love that for us.
When you get to write the rules, that's why voting matters.
This is a 5-year plan. Okay, we just got to slow down. We got to work on what we're doing now, and then
I have a 10-year plan. It's going to happen.
Okay. Well, we got this. Thank you guys for watching our show. I'm trying to get nuts here, bro. Come on. We got this.
I don't feel confident.
Please share this video with your friends. Let them know what's happening in Russellville and Polk County and politics and otherwise. And we will see you guys next week on Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on the Offbeat Times and on our Facebook page. See you guys next week.